Hey, everybody, this is Al, and this is our annual Final Words webcast. We're coming to you live from many places around. We're sad that ModPo Symposium Mode is ending. And Lily's giving me the right face for sad. And now she's giving me the right face for happy. And she's happy, as we all are, because ModPo is open, ongoing. There'll be some slow-po activities. We'll see you around, and we'll be back in what we hope will be a somewhat looser in terms of social mixing and so forth, time, maybe a stabler time, who knows, in September, early September of 2021. But we'll tell you all about that later. Today, we're devoted the entire session to final words. The TAs each have something to say. We might even drag Chris Martin and Zach Gardner into the activity of final words, but mostly we want to thank people. We want to say farewell. We want to point out some things that we think went really well this fall. We want to point some obvious things out that have been challenges to us. And we want to hear from you. So call us at 610-616-3208. Chris is ready for your call immediately. 610-616-3208. If you want to Skype, it's ModPo Pen. Gabe will be looking at the YouTube comments. Thank you, Gabe. Amber Rose Johnson, who will be back in a second, is going to be looking at Facebook. So go to the Facebook group, the ModPo Facebook group. Lily is going to be looking at Twitter, and the hashtag you want to use is ModPo Live. All right. So I'm going to start us off with a comment that has been made. Oh, I should mention that this week, the thread in the ModPo discussion forum site is for final words. So instead of a webcast specific, hey, Amber Rose, instead of a webcast specific thread, we have a final words thread. And I've drawn a few things from there. I'm going to start with one of those, and then I'm going to ask I'm going to ask Kamara if Kamara would be willing to do the first TA final word. First, a note from Padmasini Ramji, who's one of the, I guess, candidate for Rookie of the Year, really a great participant. Here's partly what Padmasini wrote in the final words thread. There are so many things I've learned as part of ModPo: to read more generously, to read more attentively, to really see what language can do, to listen generally, more actively, and more compassionately, to appreciate that poetry is everywhere, that though our lives are caught up in the living, there is beauty in the pedestrian, that there are moments when we can all experience the sublime. That's just so beautifully written. Thank you, Padmasini, for being part of ModPo 2020. Hello, Allie, good morning. And Kamara Brown is next. Kamara, you look so both autumnal and celebratory. I really need to see. There's a little bit of turquoise-ish thing going on the sleeves. Wow.
I didn't know if my final words could be a modeling session of this outfit. No, it's not, though. It's not. But thank you for the positivity on this bright colors. Yeah, for my final word today, as I was trying to think about it, and I'm sure this is going to be a theme that people are going to talk about throughout a lot of these final words, but it's just gratitude for the collective space and thinking and reflection together. A lot of the students also talk about this often, the feeling of being less alone when they're together and thinking together. But I think as a TA, I also really appreciate that collectivity. And I think actually, I'd like to read Anne Spencer's poem, Earth, I Thank You, as part of my final word. We read that earlier in the semester for week 5. And I think she gets at kind of what I'd like to talk about briefly. And she writes, Earth, I thank you for the pleasure of your language. You've had a hard time bringing it to me from the ground to grunt through the noun to all the way, feeling, seeing, smelling, touching, awareness, I am here. With an exclamation mark. And I want to thank not only the Earth for that, but I think the ModPo community, Ronald and Padmasini, Margaret, Nicholas, Reham, Ronald, and Elaine, who all showed up to my office hours this semester for making me feel here and present and aware. And it's not just the poems, you know, and the poetry that has expanded my like thinking and just like happiness this semester, but it's being in community with y'all and you folks. And it makes being here present a lot more fun this semester, even through all this terror. I really appreciate that. And the last thing I'll say for my final word is that I Am Here and Ann Spencer this morning also made me think of I Am Here from The Color Purple. And so if anyone is feeling like listening to a song that makes them feel here in the world today, I'm here. Color Purple, the musical. Thank you all. Thank you. And also thank you, Al and Anna, and all the TAs as well. I'm honored to be in conversation with you all. So it's just a bunch of thank yous. Such a
Kamara.
mushy thank yous.
Lots of love. Thank you. Good luck. And I hope we'll stay in touch, but good luck in the coming months. I think there's a big decision about where you want to go and what you want to do coming up. So we're really fans and we want to follow that decision. Were you about to say something about that?
Well, yeah, I'm speaking here from Mechanicsville, Virginia, in the farm that my grandma was raised in. So there are big moves happening from Somerville to Virginia, and I hope more moves happening.
Thank you, Kamara. Best of luck always, and hang out with us anytime.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we realize you have to leave in a few minutes, so farewell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Chris, I believe we have someone on the phone.
We do indeed. And I just want to mention that we are getting multiple phone calls coming in at once. So if you're calling and trying to get through, I can only screen one at a time, unfortunately. Okay. So keep trying, and we'll get to you as soon as we can.
Thank you.
To start today's webcast, we have a long distance call from North Wales. We have Juliet calling in.
Hi, Juliet. Can you hear me?
Hi, Al. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I can hear you great.
Wait, are you Juliet Vandermolen?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, otherwise known as Juliet Wrights.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, there's a big South Wales group, but I don't think we have a lot of North Wales people. Are you near Cardiff or a little further west than that?
Cardiff is like the southern end of Wales, and I'm all the way up in the north.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah, well, I can kind of see like Liverpool from that in North Wales.
Wow, you're way up there. Well, that's great. There's a great Welsh contingent of ModPo people. Thank you for being part of ModPo. You wrote to me personally a very powerful statement, a kind of summary of your life and your struggles and what ModPo means to you. And we would love to hear you tell us a little bit, whatever you'd like to share.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I started university a long time ago, way back in 1993, and got sidetracked from that, and had children of my own and never made it back. And I was a creative writing major, but I didn't do a lot with poetry because I always felt kind of intimidated by poetry. Like it was some special club that I didn't know the secret. And so I was a little nervous when I saw this course was available, but I thought, well, I'll give it a try, see how it goes, because I do write poetry myself. I just never have felt comfortable, or I have had a hard time finding my way into poems, to even get started. But it's been so amazing. I mean, not just like the TAs and you, Al, like everybody, but all of the people that participated. I never once felt like, I guess I was too far out of my depth, unless it was maybe week 6 where you almost lost me. But I guess I just felt like my confidence grow, and that there weren't really any really wrong answers, that there's so many different things to pull from all of these poems. And I felt like I gained a lot of confidence that I had lost. And I'm really excited about reading more poetry and doing Mod Plus and kind of using it as a jumping off point. But all of you made me feel comfortable and so excited to see what the next poems were going to be. And the videos are so helpful. Like, I think my husband is tired of hearing about poetry. It's 10 weeks, but because I would watch the video and then, oh, I have to tell you all about this poet or this poem. So I just think it's amazing that you offer this, and it's so accessible for everyone, because I know I had difficulty accessing education, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So I just really appreciate everything that you guys do.
Thank you, Juliet. You know you are not alone in that. So many major ModPo people have the same story and outline, which is, education in the arts and humanities kind of failed them. Then they got into life, and then there were kids, and then there were other responsibilities. And then years later, they come back and they realize that the problem wasn't them. The problem was the way education had been given to them. And Juliet writes, so there's nothing like the present, right?
Absolutely. I'll keep reading, keep writing.
Stay with us, Juliet, and thank you so much for calling. Take care.
Thank you for everything.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.
That was Juliet Vandermolen from North Wales. Juliet writes on Twitter, and I actually had a whole list of her books, but I just set it aside. But just take a look for her, and you'll find her website. 610-616-3208. I'm going to quote Margaret and then turn to Max, and Allie will be on deck after Max. Margaret writes, I will miss you all so much over the next months until we meet again in a healthier 2021. You have been the voices in my ears. You have been the faces in my vision. You have been the light of my fall. Thank you, Margaret. I mean, we do not take for granted. If that's what we are to you, we do not take it for granted, which is why we are open, which is why we are free, and which is why we are actually live. It's not just Allie Castleman back in 2012. It's Allie Castleman in 2020 listening to you, Allie, for example. Okay, thank you. Max, you're up, followed by Allie.
Thanks, Al. Well, this has been, I don't want to say it's been the best symposium version, but it's been definitely a standout year. Having done this, since the inception, it's been compelling and moving to see how ModPo has been able to adapt to the circumstances and what we have been able to do given the different kinds of limitations imposed. I mean, this has always been a sort of global online class, but there's always been, we've always had this kind of in-person component that's complemented it very nicely. I've always really enjoyed doing the Chicago meetups, which were impossible to do this year, obviously, and tuning into the webcast, even though I've been doing it remotely for however many years now. It's always, there's always been something welcome and about the familiar site of the Arts Cafe where these webcasts were taking place before. So, of course, it's impossible to say, what has been the best symposium version of ModPo, but this has certainly been a different direction and one that's very encouraging, I think, for the future. And I've just been, furthermore, really impressed and blown away by all of the energy and passion that my fellow TAs have brought to the course this year. So much new insight with the canon challenges, lots of excellent commentary on poems that have been added to the syllabus more recently. I also just want to thank all of the folks who stopped by my office hours, familiar folks like Mandana, Denny Stern, Terry Talty, Terry Reif, Roger from Wisconsin, Sanjeev, the newer folks who stopped by my office hours like Padmasini, Martin Porter, Smitha V. You've all made the conversations there that much more wonderful. And although the one experience I want to leave on with this year, it happened before symposium version, but I was doing, I was leading a SLOPO course on Gwendolyn Brooks in the month of May. And we had this very uncanny, but unfortunately foreseeable coincidence where we were discussing Brooks's poems from the 60s and 70s right at the end of May, coinciding with the police killing of George Floyd. And the poems that we were discussing were poems that Brooks had written about the riots in Chicago at the end of the 60s. And the response from all the folks who were doing the SLOPO session with me back in May, I mean, it was unreal. We were flabbergasted, astonished, and just couldn't believe that this is, you know, that there was such relevant poetry from 50 years ago for this exact moment. I mean, it's not that we couldn't believe it. It's so entirely foreseeable, and so it's such a fact of life here in this country. But that coincidence, it's the kind of thing that ModPo, the kind of insight that ModPo as a year-long project can bring to the events of the world that we live in. And so I would encourage people to check out always, you know, all of the poems in the SLOPO and ModPo Plus that we discuss, and especially some Gwendolyn Brooks, later Gwendolyn Brooks, who's not on our syllabus. So if you get the chance, there's a lot of her poems for available in the Poetry Foundation. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Max. Max, I just want to follow up for a second, but we're going to get a call. We're going to talk to Neil Little from Clearwater, Florida in a moment. Max, I mean, I know you're saying this implicitly, but it's worth taking a second to say it explicitly. I think we believe, or have come to believe, that the cliche, which is that, you know, turn to poetry when things are really fucked up, that you might get something from a poem that you can't get from a really well-crafted editorial or from a stump speech. I mean, I like both of those forms, don't get me wrong.
Same.
But I think we would say that, you know, studying Brooks, really doing a close reading of Brooks is not just, it's not an escape, it's an engagement.
Yeah, I would agree,
Yeah,
for sure.
I know you do. And it's such a pleasure to use, just not to triangulate and leave everybody out, but but the fact that we've been able to stay in touch, you and I, through ModPo, right? I mean, I think we'd be in touch, but this is a way for us, and I think it's true of all of us, after all these years, to just have a reason to keep learning from each other. It's just, it's a majestic kind of education. I never thought we'd get there. I never thought that the setup at the University of Pennsylvania, which would engage us for a few years, could lead to this, but it's a magnificent thing. And I hope it goes on for a long time. Thank you, Max. You're the best. Thank you so much. Max McKenna from Chicago. Love you, and can't wait to see what happens in SLOPO. Chris, we have Neil Little in Clearwater. Can you bring Neil up, please?
He's on the line now, Alan.
Hi, Neil. Can you hear me?
Hi, Al.
Hey.
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
How are you? How's ModPo been for you?
ModPo has been an amazing experience. Before I get into that, I just want to go over a little bit of my life situation. I'm afflicted with Parkinson's, and I have trouble with my hands, so typing on the keyboard is kind of laborious. Anyway, I wasn't able to finish the last writing assignment, but I wanted to share a little bit of the Mesostic that I created from that
Neil.
Mesostic generator.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what you're saying is that because you were just not able to do it, you're doing it now. Zach, please take note. Neil is doing his assignment now. That is so cool. I can't wait.
Okay, so it's a piece I call Poetry is Dead, History's Sucker Punch. And it starts, basically what I did was I put howl through the Mesostic, and I did it over and over. But anyway, I just want to read a little bit of it.
Please.
Hipsters burning for thee, to darkness of my generation by starving naked, then at dawn, destroy madness for angel-headed hipsters who shunned it, burning for heavenly connection to the night, who in tatters and hollow-eyed and high, sat up smoking in the supernatural of flats, cities jazzed with their brains to heaven, and saw on tenement roofs, I saw the minds looking in the who, their heavenly time, reclaim art, allegorize language, but first in 1,000 deaths, every way in that which willfully wiggles, escaping grasp of feverish hands.
Neil, that was amazing. Amazing. You're getting snaps from the TAs. Oh my
cool.
goodness.
Yeah, it's quite a bit longer than that. I haven't had much time to prepare the performance of it.
No, I think the performance was great. I wonder if you could, if you get a chance or you feel up to it, post it all anywhere and let me know. If you could also email us at modpo@writing.upenn.edu. And that address is anywhere. You can find it in most of our announcements. It'd be really great if you could tell us your experience, the degree to which ModPo is accessible and inaccessible for you, because I think we're trying to improve. And we'd like.
Okay, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like the audio and video, that works fine. Probably the typing all the comments and all that stuff, office hours and so forth, might be a little harder.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the voice recognition on my phone to be an intermediary for me,
Right.
but I'm still working on that.
Yeah, those programs are getting better, but they're still not up to speed. And of course, in ModPo, if it mistranslates what you're saying, it might make a whole new meaning.
Yeah, I kind of found that.
Yeah. Well, Neil, thank you for being part of ModPo, and thank you for calling this morning. Fantastic.
And I wanted to add that I think the discussion videos with the close readings are amazing. There's a great deal of compassion and responsibility for the art of poetry that I see coming through that.
Wow. Thank you for using the word compassion. That is fantastic. Neil, thank you for calling. Good luck to you. Stay with us, and I hope you'll send that email. Thank you.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, great, Neil. Have a great day. Thanks for calling.
You too.
That was Neil calling from Clearwater. The number is 610-616-3208, and we Skype at ModPo Penn. I want to turn to Allie in a second, but first I want to quote from Milena, our friend Milena. She writes in part, "I am just so proud, so ecstatic, so blessed to have been, to continue to be, forever to be a part of this community. Every year I have been resorting to the ModPo season symposium mode for some magic." Thank you, Milena. And we enjoyed Milena's call earlier in this season. Allie is up, and then Jess will be on deck.
Hi everyone. I want to echo Max in saying that this season of ModPo has really stood out for me, and I don't think that that's recency bias, although it's soon to tell. But I spent some time last night reading through the final words thread, just to kind of see if other people could help me explain what it is about this year. And I was really struck and moved by the number of people who were saying, especially the number of people who were new to ModPo this year, first timers, who were saying, I'm going to remember, when I think of the pandemic, so much of what I'm going to remember is ModPo. And that was really amazing to hear, and I think clarified something, and made me also, first, just it made a lot of sense to me that in a intensified kind of pressured situation where the world is kind of encroaching on us, this space means more, that the work that we're involved in, the work that we're creating together in dialogue, also just kind of radiates more, right? Has more heat coming off of it. but it also kind of made me think about trees. And I learned this amazing fact recently that I'm probably going to butcher. And I'm sure, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in the forums one of these years, someone who knows way more about the biological world has said this better than I'm about to. But I learned about these fungal networks between trees in a forest that enable trees to kind of communicate with each other and transfer nutrients below ground, and not just communicate kind of like in the branches like we talk about in the some trees discussion. And what's important about that is that particularly during times of crisis, some trees that are in danger or like know that maybe it's too late for them are actually able to like shift all their nutrients to the other trees in the forest. And what a kind of inspiring, encouraging model in the natural world for the kind of like collectivity that happens here. We like depend on each other. We get more from each other and depend, you know, in the Williams sense, we might say. And yeah, so I have this season of ModPo will always be special, I think, for me for that reason, for kind of the ability to find myself amidst a forest of people who want to be here. And I particularly want to shout out the people who have hung out with me many times in my office hours, Padmasini Ramji, Amy Neal, John Sweeney, Terry Talty, Sylvia Matas, Sanjivani Jha, and Terry Reif, and all of you guys who I'm so lucky to see your faces every week in the fall every year. So thanks to all.
Thank you, Allie. I just love the way the office hours have become seminars in a way where people say, okay, that's the one I want to pick up. Where I really like, we had no idea. And we have tried to search for the right apps and programs that would allow us to do chat. And we just keep coming back to the idea that the asynchronous, but almost synchronous during office hours works. I mean, what a discovery. We should really write that up in a paper because, you know, people are sort of assuming the other thing, which is you have to have the newest, coolest app. Allie, also just so great to have, just as I said about Max, just have this reason to come together. We are somewhat in touch in the non-ModPo season, but we're so in touch now. And I'm so glad. I'm not sure exactly how I turned to you in the spring of 2012. You were around the Writers' House. I knew you to be obviously a brilliant student and a great reader of poetry, but I'm just so glad it worked out and that you're still here, which just takes a certain amount of boldness to set a little bit of your life aside each fall to join us. Thank you, Allie. We have a special friend, Danny, on the phone. We also have Danny's sister, Tara. So we're going to bring Tara and Danny up. Danny, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear them, Danny?
Yes.
Yeah, he
Hey,
says
Danny.
yes.
Hey, Danny, you know, I like your SIG file at the end of your emails. I'm going to read it so everybody sees it. It's signed, usually Danny just signs it Danny. And then below that, Danny Kantara Whitty, speller and friend. And the next line says, in italics, verbal, just not speaking, autistic, and apraxic human. And then below is a link to what I presume, I haven't clicked it, is a website of some kind, or maybe it's your handle, Danny with words, one word, all jammed together. Danny, that says it all. How are you? You doing okay?
Yeah, he's doing great. And that is his website. And one of the things he prides himself on most is being a friend. So that email signature really captures it all.
Yeah.
I wanted to give everyone some background on Danny, which he gave me permission to do. So he's a minimally speaking apraxic autistic, and apraxia means that his motor system isn't well coordinated with his neural system. He's 35 years old, and he really is dealing with a lot of trauma from his earlier education, which was just really shoddy special education where he was just put in the corner and ignored. So this has really been his first educational experience in his whole life, like that really challenged him.
Tara,
And
did you just say this
yeah,
is, you just said this is his first course?
yeah, his first course ever.
Holy cow.
Really, truly. And that's the reason it's so late is because only in April this year has he become fluent with me in this method called spelling to communicate. So he's been able to use it in his daily life. So really, truly, like it's the first time he's been able to share his own words in his whole life. So this course, someone in the spelling community mentioned this, and we decided to check it out. And the first day, within the first 5 minutes, I saw a spark just lit. Like he came to life in a way I've never seen before. So it's been really amazing to see. So really every essay you read, those are his first essays he's ever written. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Cow.
So
So
and that's
good.
from my
Oh
point
my
of view.
God,
I
Danny,
want
you're
to
so
share his I wanted to share Danny's words that he spelled out for me. So this has been my first course ever. It changed my life. It made me fall in love with academic pursuits and showed me I can engage in study. It made me deeply appreciate poetry as an art form. And it also made me feel more alive. Thank you so much. And I think, Danny, you wanted to say thank you, right? You want to say it?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And
Wow,
I think this really helped him gain the courage to share with us that he really hopes to pursue a college education. So we are exploring how to get his high school diploma and get him on track. So this is super exciting. So thank you all.
Tara, Danny, thank you. I hope you saw all the hearts. Danny, hope you saw all the hearts that we're giving you. Listen, Tara, I think Tara and Danny, you probably know, I'm sure it was Dan Bergman who turned you on to ModPo in the first place, who's active in the speller community. And I just want you to know that we are here so that whatever accommodation we can make for more online courses at Penn, whatever advocating I can do for Danny to have a higher ed experience whenever he's ready, we're all here. We will advocate. We did that for Dan Bergman. We are very excited to open whatever doors can be open. We realize that we have a lot of institutional limitations, but we would love the opportunity to break down some of those barriers.
All right, that's amazing. And Danny just quickly spelled out. Can you say it? Wow.
Wow, I quickly say that.
Wow, thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Much.
Much love to you from all of us. All of us. Thank you. Thanks for being part of ModPo, and stay with us.
All right, we will.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you, Tara, too. Bye-bye. That's Tara and Danny calling from, I believe, California. I will try to, Danny, I forgot to ask them, it's Danny with Words. I think probably if you Google that, you will get to his website. Maybe it's dannywithwords.com. I don't know. Okay. The number is 610-616-3208. I'm going to read a comment from Sarah Hernandez Pozuelo, who is in Madrid. And then I'd like Jess to do final word. Sarah from Madrid writes, when I saw you in live webcasts, after seeing you in the 2012 videos, it was like watching a spoiler of a TV show you've just started watching, which is really very funny when you think about it. Like the end, go right to the end. Just kidding, but I would really love to meet you in person and give you all a big hug. That's my feeling right now. Smiley face. So I hope this will happen someday. Sarah, come to Philadelphia when it's free and clear. We would love to see you. And Madrid is on my bucket list, so I will let you know when we're heading there. Thank you. Jess, you are up and on deck. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share a screen. Lily was referring to this. Hold on. Okay. Lily, what is this we're looking at?
I really love this very sweet photo Milena shared of her watching us on YouTube on her TV. And it's kind of like if we were in person at Writer's House, like we would take a group selfie or something. So this is kind of like Oscar selfie meets YouTube. I love it.
And that little scared Mr. Potato Head, that's me. At the bottom, for sure. Milena, thank you. That's really lovely. Thanks, Lily, for noticing that. Okay, Jess, a final word. And after Jess, I'm going to play a song that John Sanchez has written for us. Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Anyway, Jess, you're on.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I'll try to be brief.
Do you have a song?
No.
Man.
It's probably better for all involved that I don't have one. Yeah, it was so amazing hearing about Danny's experience of ModPo. That just blew my mind, and I'm so thrilled. And also, Allie, this metaphor of the forest of ModPo as a kind of network of care and of nutrient shuttling and of warmth. I thought that was so amazing, and I think it relates to what I wanted to say for my final word, which is that in this moment of like the Zoom meeting and the Zoom version of everything and this sort of migration to virtual modes of connection, which it's easy to complain about those modes sometimes. I think ModPo has been an important reminder that these virtual modes of sharing ideas are not lesser substitutes for in-person or literal face-to-face meetings and conversations, but that they work in different ways and that they enable different kinds of connections. And most importantly, they bring people and they bring voices and words into the room, the virtual room, who might not have been able, for whatever reason, to come into a literal, classroom, physical space or whatever it is. And I just think that's been a really amazing thing to experience, even in the midst of all of the challenges that we all face in different ways in this moment of staying at home, right, and being disconnected. So aside from that, I wanted to just read two things that I found in the Final Words forum that I thought were really great, and that I just wanted to amplify. The first thing is from MC Kaczynski, who wrote that ModPo values repetition for its transformative capacities. And the second thing from Sylvia Matas, I believe, hopefully that's correct there. Sylvia's final words were in the form of a series of thank you notes to various ModPo poets, which I thought was really great. And Sylvia wrote a thank you note to Gertrude Stein for teaching us to spend more time with things we don't understand, and for teaching us to feel uncertain without turning away. And I thought that those two lessons of what ModPo does, right, valuing repetition and valuing that moment of uncertainty, but not turning away, I thought those were just such important things as we're facing the exhaustions of the present and the uncertainties of the future. And I just want to say that, as other folks have been saying, this has been an exceptional year for ModPo. It's been great. It's been amazing to have so many new people be involved. It was also like a really challenging one, many distractions, many crises, unfolding in the background, but that this has been a place to really feel present. And I want to thank everyone for their participation and their contributions. And that's all I have to say.
Yes, this is a bonus year for us, really, because, last year you were part of ModPo as part of a fellowship, and I just never guessed that it would work out, that you could come back. And really, I mean, this is going to come out as a brag about ModPo, and I don't mean it that way, actually, seriously. You got to do this twice. I mean, I really think, I'm sure you could go on about what the second time through, because, you know, it's a lot to grab hold of if you're a teaching assistant in the course. But then the second time through, you can find your spots and find your people. And you've done it so brilliantly and beautifully. And you're just such a delight to have as part of the webcast. So thank you, Jess. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that the pedagogical implications of this mode, or let me just say it as part of a prayer almost, may the pedagogical implications of this crazy format inform your in-person classes in every educational setting that you find yourself in what I imagine is going to be a long and brilliant career. Thank you, Jess. That's Jess, everybody. Hey, Jess. Okay, we have Tan on the line. What I'd like to do, Chris, is bring Tan up and then ask Tan to wait while we listen to John Sanchez. Hello, Tan.
Hello.
Good morning. You do some great audio from Siberia. Seriously, you should be a radio star.
Thank you.
I think you are a radio star.
Thank you so much. Hello,
Yeah.
everybody.
Good morning, good afternoon. It's good evening, I guess, for you. Would you
It
mind?
is pretty much good night. Yeah.
Yeah, good night. I'm gonna play a video from John Sanchez, and would you mind waiting 3 minutes while we play that, and then doing your final words? Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah. So what you're probably going to want to do is turn the sound down on the Zoom or somehow mute it and watch it on the YouTube, because there's going to be a weird delay and you might get better results on the YouTube. I don't know, one way or other. Okay. So John Sanchez, our buddy, another candidate for Rookie of the Year, along with Mike, his dad, did ModPo together as a bonding exercise of parent and child. And this is a gap year thing for John. You'll remember all that. So John wrote a song for us, and I'm going to play it by doing share screen. And Zach has taught me to optimize the video clip. Now that is hard to do. It may not work, but we'll hope it does. Here's John Sanchez.
Grandfather advised me learn a trade, while Whitman looked out on the blab of the pave. Then Kerouac hit us with some babble flow. Creeley said, Christ's sake, look out where you're going. Say goodbye to ModPo. Dwell in possibility of fair house than prose. And William Carlos Williams, please control your nose. It isn't for want of something to say. I'll try a sonnet out, said Claude McKay. Say goodbye to ModPo. 10 weeks of fun, and now it's done. Come back next year for another run. The difference is spreading. Remembered Peter Moore when he was dead. The most obscure things have already been said. I shall create, if not a note, a whole. Divya Victor's writing about Walt Whitman's solo. Say goodbye to ModPo. The power mower brought the toad to his tragic fate, and Anne Waldman is in a rogue state. Perhaps good fences make good neighbors, but I can't get over how it all works in together. Say goodbye to ModPo. 10 weeks of fun, and now it's done. Come back next year for another run. The difference is spreading. Everybody stop breathing at the 5 spot, and I've eaten up plums in the icebox. Some trees tell us to explain love touch. 5 words can say only. Say goodbye to ModPo. Unfettered, these sentences repress free speech. So let me recite what history can teach. The river is moving, so the blackbird's in flight. Which way does your beard point tonight? Say goodbye to ModPo. 10 weeks of fun, and now it's done. Come back next year for another run. The difference is spreading. This.
Holy cow, right? Oh my word. Davey, what is your first thought on the John Sanchez song?
It's just so sweet. It's just like exactly, it's like everything a teacher could ever hope for. It's just like, it's exactly what we hope of being able to sit with this curriculum and make it your own and connect to it and feel like it's so useful to you that you want to make something in response. It's just like the biggest possible gift. It also would be amazing to use to teach ModPo. I hope we get to put it in the course so that folks can figure out what it's like to live with and like build these poems into yourself. It's just such a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. Amber Rose, what do you think?
No, Al, don't ask me. I'm dying. I'm obsessed with this song. I'm nearly in tears. That was incredible. It was lovely. It was so warm. Like all the little winks in this song were so good. Like I'm amazed and overjoyed. I'm so happy.
I think one of the reasons why we're moved is it makes me hopeful for the future, actually. Not to be too cliche about it. I mean, John Sanchez, he's a first-year student somewhere in college, so 18, 19, maybe 20. Like that's taking it seriously, but also having a lot of fun with it. It's lovely. Oh, thank you, John Sanchez. Hello, Jake. So we have Ton on the phone. Ton, did you get to hear John?
Yes, I got to hear it, and it was wonderful.
How are you, Ton?
The difference is spreading, Al.
Yeah, the difference is spreading. That's a great line in the song, isn't it? The difference is spreading. Becomes kind of a campaign rally song, you know. Tom, do you want to do your final words?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this year I couldn't really be as active on forums as I wanted to. Like my health deteriorated pretty badly, and you know, like typing is hard, especially in the evenings. But this course this year has really felt very, very different. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. I wanted to say thank you to all of you individually. I wanted to say thank you to the community of people that we have. I wanted to, you know, say thank you for that like experience of having these weekly webcasts. And what I wanted to say also is that to note that this year it feels almost more joyful despite everything. Everything is connected somehow this year much more. And I don't know about other people, I can only, you know, say about myself, but when I read other work, I now have like galaxy brain moments of being like, oh, that is in conversation with that piece that I read like last week and that we discussed in the webcast. And it is just delightful. I would really thank everybody, and I think especially Davey for bringing up the conversation around disability a lot, because also as a like deaf autistic person with like chronic illnesses, it is really cool to read a poem and then in the discussion be able to actually find my experience there, and be able to also be challenged at the same time. So that was absolutely, absolutely wonderful. And something that also is interesting to note is that last year when I called you for last words, I was actually in Vienna, bedridden.
I remember.
But joyful and happy and in tears. And this year, I am in my room, haven't left my apartment in a long time. And I'm also happy, and I'm also tearing up a little bit. And so that is just like one stable thing in my life that has not changed. And before I go, I just wanted to also say that, in trees, the trees have this like fungal network and everything, that we are connected and we talk to each other and transfer knowledge and support and everything. And today is the first day and I can see it out of my window, that the trees outside of my window are actually finally white and covered in snow and beautiful and not dead looking. So today is the first day in which winter actually feels joyful.
Ton speaks. Thank you. Last year we said we love you. I think love squared, maybe. Thank you for being with us. And I like the idea that, during the symposium mode season, we are there in that room with you and Kek and Siberia outside. We're there in the room. I mean, it's not a metaphor, it's real. We're here for you. So keep reaching out and we will do likewise. And thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for saying that this year was, quote, almost more joyful despite everything. That is an amazing thing to contemplate in 2020. It really is. So thank you, Ton. Everybody wave goodbye to Ton. Stay in touch.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Wow. Ton's the only person imaginable who could follow John Sanchez. Amazing. Oh, goodness. Amaris Kaczynski is here. Hey, look at you. It's great to see you. Oh, my goodness. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's so good to see everyone. I miss you guys.
Oh, my God. Oh, we miss you a lot, too. And Jake has joined us. What I want to do is ask Amber Rose to go next. I'm just going to quote another final word, and then Amber Rose is up, and that'll be followed by Jake. So I wanted to quote Miranda Jubb, who's also amazing first-timer, who wrote in part the following. Oh, by the way, 610-616-3208. Miranda Jubb, I can't say enough about how much of a difference to me this class has made. It has given me a sense of structure, intellectual stimulation, and a sense of community during these very difficult times, all of which would have been completely lacking for me otherwise. I've absolutely loved the opportunity to learn about poetry in a way I never have before, despite my English literature degree. Wow. As well as continuing to talk and think about forms of education that are inclusive and that are democratic, another particular interest of mine. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you so much. All right, Amber Rose Johnson, you're on.
Hello, friends. Okay, for my final word, I want to say a couple of things. The first is that I actually want to give a shout out to Al, because I got truly Al for everything. But specifically because in my email inbox last week, I got an email from my department chair congratulating Al on the 2021 Faculty Award of Merit given by Penn alumni, So shout out to Al for being fantastic. Truly, Al, you're just such a great leader, and I'm so inspired that your leadership always encompasses making room to change things and rearrange things and reconsider things, and that a part of your leadership model means being a really good follower and listener to the good people that you put around you. So thank you for, moving forward in that way, and also modeling for us what good leadership looks like, what good teaching looks like, what good collaboration looks like. Yes. So that's number one. Number two is I also want to give a shout out to some of the folks who have been coming through my office hours: Terry, Elaine, Mandana, Nicholas, Lisa, Danny, Ronald, Padmasini. Thank you to all of those folks. I also felt like this year the office hours felt a little bit different. I found that I was having more consistent kind of long game conversations with folks, which was really, really nice. So thank you all for coming with your consistent questions and thoughts and other texts. And you've kept me company and inspired me and asked me good questions and challenged me to think harder. So thank you for that. And also truly shout out to this amazing group of TAs for 2 reasons primarily. I mean, there could be so many reasons, like the fashion sense, the glasses, you know, there are so many things that I could say. The mustaches that have appeared this season, you know, the guitars, the backgrounds we've seen, there's endless compliments. But what I really want to say is 2 things. And one is about the Canon Challenges. I've been so inspired by the Canon Challenges. I think that idea came out of a collaborative groupthink, maybe between Al, Davey, and Lily, or Davey and Lily primarily, or something. But really glad that y'all came up with that idea because it's renewed and refreshed the material for me and allowed to make space for hard criticisms. Is like, yeah, that's really how you grow into something better. And it's also given me the chance to sort of hear a little more expertise from each of you and how you're thinking about individual weeks. And also because everyone can't see, but this chat that we have, I must say that I was really worried about, you know, not being in person and not knowing. There's so much sort of banter and just little quips that make the ModPo webcast so special. And we've been able to not only keep that, but sort of even expand it because we can have these sort of interior conversations and they've been so funny and so fun. And I feel like I've gotten to know all of y'all a little bit better and I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, I am appreciative that we can continue to show up for each other and continue to ask questions and continue to go deeper, digging deeper, kind of in the same spot, which is a real privilege to do the work of staying. So thank you all for that. And thank you for continuing to let me be a part of it.
ARJ, you've made a counterintuitive and bold choice this year to stay with us and do ModPo. There's so much pressure on you to do other things, to stay on track with your dissertation and all that stuff. And you have decided what I think is the right thing to do about the dissertation. You're going to be more productive, more on it by committing to do this communal thing, collaborative thing, because the dissertation is such a lonely enterprise. And I like to think that, I mean, of course, it's selfish to think that it was a good decision because we got to share, you know, we got to have you with us. But I really stand by it. And Davey can speak specifically to this as well. And Jess, you know, currently, and Gabe in his own graduate program, like this is the thing that most people would say, you're doing what? Again, you're doing what? Wait, what? Aren't you supposed to be making progress? Well, as you just suggested, this is a kind of progress. So thank you. And thank you for the kind words about me. Thank you so much. Amber Rose Johnson, everybody. There is Amber Rose Johnson. Yay. Gonna turn to Jake in a second, but I wanna I know that someone's on the phone. Chris, who's on the phone? Isabella. Oh, great. Great. I think, Jake, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring Isabella in. But before that, Gabe, would you just characterize what's happening in the chat, the YouTube chat?
Oh my God, yeah. One, there's a ton of people there. And basically every time one of us or somebody on the phone says, like, compliments one thing, everybody's like, yes, I love it. It's amazing. So there's a lot of really good energy. But, you know, I wanted to mention that even earlier on, before Amber Rose spoke, there was a lot of shout outs to the Canon Challenge. So I'm really glad that they're popular because they're kind of like, you could say that they're a little in the weeds, right? Like it's something, you gotta like this stuff. It can scare some people a little bit, but people seem to really like it, you know, and I'm glad that people do. And also there was a lot of really, one big theme is like, the connectivity to people. And a lot of people are celebrating how they have each other for a little bit of time. So just to like quote two really quickly, Anno Patel said, yes, ModPo helped us travel places while staying at home. Julie Michalewski said, I love ModPo and still use these strategies in my middle school classes. Thanks for opening up the conversation about pedagogy and how collaborative conversations can happen in the virtual world. So yes, a lot of our usual suspects and a lot of new friends, and it's pretty popping in there if anybody wants to drop by.
Great. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you all for participating in that. Okay, Chris, let's bring Isabella up and then we'll turn to Jake.
All right, Isabella is on the line.
Hi, Isabella from New Jersey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Just great. Feeling a little weepy today, but that's
definitely
good. Would you like to offer your final words?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you and all of the TAs and everyone participating in ModPo. I had such a wonderful sense of community. You know, it was my first time trying any open course and ModPo in general, and I feel like I have learned so much, and I've encountered so many new poets and revisited old poets, and I think the level of discussion and the enthusiasm and the encouragement has really helped me grow in my communication skills and my analytical skills, and it's really inspired me to keep, analyzing and looking at poets that, I didn't originally fully understand, and I think that's sort of opened my perspective on what we consider poetry and why we read and sort of how words sort of make us human.
Isabella, that's a lovely thing to say. Thank you. This is your first year in ModPo? I think you said that last time, yeah?
Yeah, this is my first year in ModPo.
Okay. Well, we won't demand that you stay with us, but we will request it. I hope you'll hang out with us and keep coming back. Are you in high school? Is that the case? You're in high school?
I am in high school.
Wow. What do you say when you tell your fellow high school students that you're doing this MOOC?
I think it's interesting because a lot of my classmates are also, intellectually curious, but a lot of them are in different fields. So I think it's interesting to dialogue with them and sort of compare our experiences. But I think, I go to a wonderful school, and I think they're very excited for me, even if they don't really always understand exactly what I'm doing.
That's great. Well, thank you. Spread the word there at the school. Maybe we'll get some more pals of yours.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, Isabella, thank you. Be well and stay in touch.
I hope to see everyone in ModPo Plus.
Yeah, perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. Wow, Isabella, the high school advocate, just doing a commercial for ModPo. Love that. Thanks. Have a great day, okay, Isabella? Be well. Have a good holiday.
You.
Be
Bye.
safe. All right. Jake Marmer there. Which way is your beard pointing tonight, Jake?
Inward, I think. Like literally.
That's uncomfortable.
Well, inward is what's available, or I'm just still like getting my jaw muscles going. It's kind of early here in the West Coast.
Yeah, not only that, but you had kids duty first, so they just pulled your ears and threw your hat under the sofa and all that stuff. By the way, while I have the floor, I just want to say to Amaris, you're on deck, Amaris, for final word. Jake, you're on.
Hey, well, I'm hearing my own echo. Okay.
Oh, do something about that.
Okay. So I think poetry is a skeptic's access to the sacred, and one of the very few kinds of access points available to a skeptic, and I'm just super grateful to have this wonderful group of people to access that sacred with together through poetry. And huge thank you for convening us all here in this way. And I want to echo, everything Amber Rose said, but especially the thing about the canons and canon challenge. I think it's so important for the canon to keep evolving, and it actually, the canons have changed on a week-to-week basis. It's really hard to do, and I'm really grateful for the changes, for the challenges, and just like the sprawling network of additional poems and chats and talks and these things. It's like ModPo has a life of its own. It's just like a living thing going into all these directions, and it's such a pleasure to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. And thank you for your guest appearance and the poetry reading, and just, oh man, that was great. And we're going to convene in December, we're going to convene a group to do some more video making. And one of them will be that passage that we discussed about being open to the sound of improvisation coming in through the door. So that'll be great. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amaris Kaczynski, oh, we missed you so. But congratulations on completing your first semester of law school.
Not yet complete. Still in the weeds. Definitely in the weeds.
Are you okay? It's 1L is kind of rough, yo.
It is a little rough. This is the last week of classes, 2 out of 5, which are in person. The rest are online. So it feels a little familiar, though kind of different. And then heading into reading period and hopefully surviving. So please, everyone, keep me in your prayers. I need it.
Oh my goodness. Well, so 2L is slightly easier. Yeah, slightly.
I hope so, for my own mental health and well-being.
If 2L is 5% easier, we will recruit you to join us for 2 webcasts just to be with us.
I would love that.
And then 3L, we're going to have you do the whole thing. And then after that, it's going to be really hard because if you join a law firm, they're not exactly going to want you to do webcasts. But it's good to see you. And do you have some thoughts? They're not final so much as just thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just want to echo everything that Amber Rose so brilliantly and eloquently said. I could not say it better. Al, you were way ahead of this game in terms of infusing the online space with warmth and a personal touch. And I feel that so much more severely now, being confined in my room most of the time in the law school community, which is a very different feel from ModPo. So I just, being here and seeing the energy and how touching and connected you guys are, it just brings it all back and makes me wish that I could have joined this semester. So hopefully see you guys real soon, and thanks for allowing me to stay connected. I feel really honored.
We feel honored, Amaris. It's so great you could join us. I'm going to call Max. Max, say one thing about what Amaris's role, as it turned out to be in those original videos, was. Amaris was so fantastic in them. What's your recollection?
Amaris brought a very thoughtful and, I would say, even-keeled reading of the poems that we discussed in those first videos, which, given that some of us, myself included, were really new to the material, it was a very welcome perspective. Somebody who had some familiarity and also was able to discuss the work in a clear and approachable way.
She also sat next to Emily and was able to use her right elbow to keep Emily in balance once in a while, which is a very hard thing to do. So I think I'd like to turn to Lily. I'm sorry I didn't give you a warning, Lily, that you're on deck. Lily, and then let's go to Gabe after that.
No worries. I'm always ready to give a final ModPo word. Yeah, I feel like what I have to add to all of the already ongoing brilliance is just that I think it's been hard this year to be an educator or a teaching assistant and have to like project a sense of stability and calm and like be a person that students can turn to for that. And so I think something that we all do a really great job of like collectively modeling together as people, and then also through some of our newer projects like Canon Challenge, is like we're not going to project that calm or that sense of like being a finite, not finite, like a absolute last word type of resource for the material or the teaching. Like we bring our sort of chaotic normal selves to everything that we do, and we sort of roll up as one giant crew to like your YouTube or whatever every week. And like, it's a little messy and it's a little whatever. And so I don't know, I've just been appreciating that, that lack of pressure to be a stable source of like having all of the answers for students, whether it's our like face-to-face students or the ModPo peeps online. And I just want to thank everyone who, like, I think when the world is a even more difficult place, one of the ways that people sometimes take like a refuge from that is to shut off and like make themselves less vulnerable or express themselves less often or whatever. And so already just in this phone call or just in this Zoom meeting, let alone like all semester, we've seen so many people put themselves out there and make themselves really vulnerable, like write and record an entire song and upload it to YouTube, like where the entire internet could say whatever they want about it. Like, that's amazing. We have to do that because it's our job, you know, but like you guys, you guys don't have to do that, you ModPo participants. So I just mostly want to say thanks to everyone who shared a part of themselves with us this semester and made themselves vulnerable at like the most difficult time to be doing that. And then last thing I'll say is I'm really, really cheered to know that people are reacting so positively to the Canon challenges. And that was a really exciting idea that Al and Davey and I talked about this summer as kind of a experiment, like we'll see how it goes. And I'm really want to say thank you to the team of TAs, people who recorded one. And also I'm excited to like revisit them when we're asynchronous and see if there's anything we want to re-record or add new ones. So just, you know, thank you to everyone for being so game with that. And, you know, it would be really ironic if we kept those forever and said they had to remain like statically part of the canon. So like, obviously we'll kind of check them out and see where we go on from there.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for next year.
The great thing about them is that they're short videos and we made them informally. And we can remake them, we can add to them. That's great. Lily, I always say, and it's become, you probably don't even hear it anymore because it seems like a total like throwaway line, but you're the best. Sometimes I say it with capital, you can imply the capital B's or you infer the capital B-E-S-T, best. You're the best, but you really are. I mean, you do so much. Your skills at convening and coordinating are extraordinary, and you never flaunt them. You never run them up the flagpole so we can salute them. You never parade it around, but you have incredible skills, incredible skills.
Thanks, Al.
And someone with such progressive ideas that, you know, this is a world where progressive people are more and more alienated from just, shall we just say, moderate people or whatever, just in terms of ideology. You have this generosity toward the moderates that, you know, that's important. It's important to build alliances, and you do it with such great cheer and you stick to your ideas. It's, you know, I mean, you and Davey brought me along on the Canon Challenge idea. So both of you so sweetly and smartly and intelligently, not that I was going to resist it, but you know, it's hard to have something you think is going fine and then be told, you know, we should start over. And you're just the best. Lily Applebaum, everyone, Lily Applebaum is
Thanks,
the best.
Al.
Thank you for all you do. All right, Gabe is up and Davey is on deck.
Hi.
Hi, Gabe.
This has been a fun final words. I know, are they usually this fun? I don't know. I feel I don't know. Like, I feel like this was more fun. Maybe because we have an internal chat. Maybe because of John Sanchez. I don't know. But it's good to see everybody. I wrote a little bit of my final words down, so I'm just gonna kind of read a little bit and I don't know, improvise or something. But so in a time of radical distance and separation, I feel like we get from ModPo the opportunity to work towards each other through poetry. It's like a kind of habitual empathy. We really need empathy right now, and a lot of it in a more radical version than we've had before. By empathy, I mean remembering how stupendous the lives of other humans and other animals can be, and always extending them the resources needed to expand and refine their shine. Poetry is our chosen medium here, in part because we're poets, in part because poetry offers something between like an upside down bonfire and an upside down forest fire, something for gathering, renewing, changing, making way for something. And I guess the other day when Biden won, and I don't really like Biden that much, but I am very glad he won, opposed to the other guy. I was just like reflecting on, there's been an enormous amount of loss over the last 4 years, and people kind of, there's this thing that people say like, we survived it, but that's not true for everyone or everything. And over the last 4 years, there's also been an incredible amount of growth from people, an incredible amount of politicization that I think is helpful, a lot of collective thought, a lot of consciousness raising, and a lot of care work. And I think ModPo is a kind of unique site where a lot of that happens, but it doesn't feel like it's you know, that heavy kind of rigorous politicization and care work, but it feels, I don't know, more habitual, more caring, more easy. So I just want to thank all of you who have worked towards each other alongside me in the ever-populated YouTube chat in office hours. And of course, my wonderful, as always, TAs, to Al, to Chris and Zach, whose jobs only seem to get more intricate and advanced, but always succeeds. And I guess I just wanted to finish with a very, very short poem that's guided me a lot in life, especially over the last 4 years, which is by C.A. Conrad, very short one that says, Frank ate clear around the sleeping worm of the apple. Any life saved in this place is magic, Frank said. It's life coming back to you. So I hope everybody has a resilient and joyful winter, or whatever season it's about to be where you are. Thanks all.
Oh, Gabe. That's Gabe, everybody. Ojeda Segay, Gabe. And boy, it was fun to feature your work too this semester. That was a really fun thing. I'm so sorry we weren't able to do it in person at the Writers' House, but we did the second best. I totally love your tone. Totally love the way you approach things. You know, you're dealing with you're interested in some very serious things. You have such joy in your approach to them. It's really fun being an interlocutor with you. Always fun. Yeah, and there's so much generosity and flexibility and elasticity in your ideas. And you also have this eclectic source work of things that inspire you. Notwithstanding graduate school, which is supposed to shave all that away and get you directly to whatever theory is the flavor of the month. And you don't like the flavor of the month. So, but you're our flavor of the month. Gabe, thank
you.
You get a kick out of my semi-improvisational dorkiness.
I do, because I feel like I think of you as a ham, but I feel like you don't carry yourself as a ham all the time, but you're such a ham. And I think a ham is a great thing.
Yeah, you do. You're getting more and more ham-like, which is really cool. You married into a ham family, that's for sure. There's that. We have someone on the phone, and then I want to turn to Davey for a final word. And the person on the phone is Maura and Maura's dog in Massachusetts. Is that correct? Hi, Maura.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing really good.
Mm-hmm. Good. And what are your final thoughts? How's your ModPo experience been? Chris, I think we might have lost Maura.
And it really made me feel, during this pandemic when I'm just like shut in here by myself, and I'm in the older age group, so I'm more at risk to go places.
Yeah.
So this really helped me. And the fact that people, you, Al, and Max and David responded to some of the things that I said, it made it so much more real for me. And, it was like all of a sudden I had a community that I just don't have because of this disease problem.
Also because you felt you were being heard. It's one thing to throw a comment into a giant community and not get a response. But when you get a response, you realize, oh, people are listening to me, and in isolation.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I did feel like that. And I feel last night I put two of my paintings. One of the people started something called Poets Who Paint.
Yeah, I saw
And
it, the
so
thriving thread. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt safe enough and part of the group enough to put, that online.
Wow.
So that was great too.
Wow.
Yeah, I just think it's a wonderful thing. It's just wonderful.
Maura,
And I so admire. Go ahead.
No, you go, please.
Well, I just want to say, watching some of the videos of the students' discussions, I just feel so impressed by these young people with such insight and such openness. It was just great to see that.
Yeah. Thank you, Maura. I just want to say briefly, the isolation is going to continue for a while. It seems like we're really in a bad spot now. We'd hoped for better. And ModPo is ending the symposium mode, and I suppose I feel bad about that. I don't think we have the wherewithal to extend the symposium mode. We're all pretty tired. But ModPo is open, and I'm going to make a point of saying in my all community messages that we are open and we are there, and maybe we can rotate being present, the leadership group. So I hope you will continue to hang out. Yeah, I hope you'll continue to hang out in ModPo through this thing so that you don't feel more alone. We'd rather you feel less alone. Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels like this.
No,
because,
not at all. But
yeah,
I don't know you except for the comments I've seen and for this call. But I guess I want to say some kind of loose connection, some kind of version of friendship or community membership is possible. And I hope that you will fight off the loneliness by hanging out with us.
I will do that. I definitely will do that. And I just want to thank you all so much.
Thank you, Maura. Thank you so much, and take care. All right, bye-bye. That's Maura, everybody. So we're going to, unless somebody breaks in, we're going to not take any more calls because we're about to wrap up, although I'm sure someone else will call. We're going to turn to Davey, followed by Anna. Okay, Davey, you're up.
All right. For my final word, I wanted to read from a thread that Mary Armour started in March, which is titled Support in Self-Isolating. And Mary explained, I'm going to read 3 posts from it. I want to frame before I read them that one of those posts does engage in detail with racial violence, just to offer that framing. And I want to read these posts by way of giving some detail and texture to when we say that we live our lives through the ModPo community, that's meant a lot of different things this year. And that's meant specifically a lot of different kinds of trauma for a lot of different people. And I wanted to speak to some of the brilliant and generous work that ModPo folks do with one another. And so when Mary started this thread, she said of it, quote, "When South Africa's government declared a state of emergency the other evening, my first response was to check into the ModPo Slowpo forums and read some of the poems on Jason's course. This community, yes, family, has always been a comfort and sanctuary." And a few months later, this thread has been going on for a while, Pamela Joyce Shapiro wrote a really incredible post in the wake of the police killing of George Floyd and acts of violence that occurred, both police violence and militia violence, white supremacist militia violence that occurred in Philly afterwards. And Pamela Joyce Shapiro wrote, "I am at a complete loss. As much as I love poetry, find inspiration, hope, and understanding in the words, it is not helping me now. When I see armed men on rooftops after curfew, threatening a Philly neighborhood, while white men march the streets with bats and hammers in hand, yelling racial and homophobic slurs and threats, all sanctioned by the local police precinct, words cannot console me. Poetry documents the times, gives voice to anguish and hope, but it does not change the state of affairs. For the most part here, we share a worldview, a level of empathy for others, intolerance for injustice. We value critical thinking, carefully curate and analyze information, and have a high tolerance for ambiguity. As diverse as we may be individually, here we seem to be a community of like-minded people, separated and somewhat insulated. How can lovers of poetry collectively translate that love to some force of action in the world? Is it enough to find solace here, to visit this safe haven? And I wanted to read one more recent post from a couple of months ago from our friend Sharon Wells, who writes of packing up her house. We're still trying to sort and pack 34 years worth of being in this house, plus the stuff in boxes that moved here with us from our previous lives. I shall try to keep an eye in as much as possible. It's always good to hear from you and all my other ModPo friends, Sharon writing to Mary Marmer and MC Kaczynski. And reading these posts put me in mind of the way in which this is year 5 of ModPo for me. ModPo folks have shaped my life in the last few years, and not just during symposium mode. And I wanted to offer 4 thank yous specifically. MC Kaczynski very, very generously in the spring talked me through a family health crisis. Someone in my family has a degenerative illness that she had known a lot of people who had it, and like told me what it was like and what happens. And that was amazingly generous of her. She also sent me photos of her grandkids on Halloween, which were extremely cute. Terry Reif is among many generous people in ModPo, one of the most consistently intellectually generous interlocutors, always asking more of folks, offering ideas and sources, and really drawing out serious conversation of everyone all the time. Mandana Chaffa has been just a wonderful interlocutor for me, and an incredibly generous soul. And I also wanted to thank Elaine Epler, who I believe is a first-time ModPoer, who I had wonderful conversations with in my office hours. And like, it's the daring to try to be hopeful by being kind of ModPo people that makes me excited to come back to ModPo, with the understanding that sometimes the community of ModPo feels sufficient, and sometimes it still feels insufficient, despite how wonderful it is. And something that's amazed me this year is that there's room in ModPo to talk about the insufficiency of what we're doing, to say, I'm so glad to be part of this community, and I'm still grieving. I'm so glad to be part of this community, and I'm still angry. And I don't know what to do with that anger, and I can't solve it, but I can talk about how insufficient the tools I have are, and have that witnessed. And that's a kindness that ModPo people give each other that I, as a TA, feel lucky to be a part of. So thanks.
Davey Niddle, everyone. Davey, that was amazing, as always. And frankly, and this is not an exaggeration, I don't know anybody who has been more able, more articulate about talking about, or getting us to helping us talk about the convergent crises. And I mean the convergent crises, at least 3 major categories of crisis. And you are so thoughtful about, it's hard enough talking about them one at a time, but your specialty is thinking of as holistically as possible and connecting it to the concerns of the person who's in front of you. That is really quite a skill. Oh my goodness, what a teacher you are. Thank you, Davey. Thank you, Davey Niddle. So we're gonna run a little long, I'm sorry, but this is what's gonna happen because we have a video from Erica who couldn't join us. We have Yutong or Bellatrix Amos, or Amos, I don't know which, on the phone from China. Chris Martin has been working the entire webcast to get Yutong to come through. Chris, what's that been like? What's going on with the tech?
Yeah, thanks. We've been going back and forth, lots of messaging, me and Yutong. It's been very nice to chat, but yeah, just Skype is a little tricky, and we finally got the little details working. So
okay, all right. So let's hear. Yutong, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Do you prefer Yutong? You also go by Bellatrix Amos?
Yeah, I think Itong is fine. It's like my pseudonyms, like
okay.
Bellatrix Amos.
Great. How are you? My goodness, it's amazing to hear your voice all the way from China.
Yeah, sure. This is also why I'm having a lot of connection issues. And actually, I haven't really been able to log on to Coursera for most of the course, but I kind of caught up after my midterms. So I think I'm a high schooler from China, and I really want to thank you guys for your experience and insight that you've brought into this conversation. Like before I came to ModPo, I've been to several other courses, online
by other universities, and I didn't really have such high expectations because most of the courses I went to are more focused on just talking about theory. But I was really impressed by ModPo's way of having these conversations. I remember the first time I went to ModPo was we were the poem Chicago Picasso by Gwendolyn Brooks. And I was really moved by all the amount of feedback from the professors, the TAs, and also so many genuine poetry lovers from all across the world. And before I went to ModPo, my kind of like really cool, but you have to be really spontaneous and you have to have some kind of genius to do it. After I took part in ModPo, I now know that poetry has a lot of styles and you have to learn your art as well. So this is also putting me back on track for my own creative writing. And also thank you so much for sharing your trust and creating this safe space online, especially in these trying times. And I think that it was really nice to watch this whole thing just grow into something beautiful. And I would like to maybe share a poem by me. So I
Please.
wonder if you can see it.
Yeah, please.
Can you see my screen sharing right now?
Oh my goodness. I don't think we can do a screen share. Can you, is it a short poem?
Yeah. So it's like basically two poems. One is a masastic and another one is a free verse on pain.
I wondered if you would read one in the interest of time. Would you read the free verse about pain?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I just disabled my screen sharing and I think you can now see me as well. So this is a poem that I wrote way back because I experienced all kinds of pain in my own life, not just physical, but also mental pain. And I happen to think that this poem really suits our trying times right now because we need to have a lot of hopes for this road ahead. So here's a poem. It's called Day to Day. It's actually arranged into a really beautiful shape, but I can't really show it right now. So
okay.
Yeah. I get the delusion of flying before wings are plucked from my feet. They take on the weight of lead, but vines spread from them, become roots as they dive into the ground, connect, won't let go. An explosion is going on in my waist. I'm stone inching towards the bleachers and fall apart, a statue broken, shattered, so stiff from the tide of pain that overwhelms me, carries me straight into blissful oblivion. People come and go, making themselves at home, all lonely strangers themselves. My heart blossoms for them every time before they try to pluck the flower and succeed. Pain is like an old friend when it rains down on you, or wraps its arms around you like a tweed jacket. Or sometimes the pain just clings to you like a faithful shadow, and little by little, you realize you've been converted into its follower, and every moment heightens into a searing sensation, pains leading you out to the first reel. Granny passed. My eyes got so blurred when random pages of my childhood were burned traceless, but I can't let my tears roll down and land on her body, for every drop means one disease in heaven where there aren't supposed to be diseases. Or when you've talked yourself into breaking up with the love of your life, and it's the last hour of your life as his girl, and the last hour you see things through the eyes of his girl. Colors, weather, all will change in 1 hour. The few words you squeeze out of your drained brain are stillborn, and the wool meets your fist and lands like dirty snowflakes, red, from your knuckles, paint a river and starts flowing through the forest. Entwined symbols you scribbled on the window pane to obliterate light. When you feel like tripping over, you learn the pain's a testimonial to your living status. You swallow it
I think we lost Yutong. Is that the case, Chris?
Unfortunately, I think she froze up.
All
so.
right. Yutong, I'm sure in the recording you'll hear this. That was marvelous. I'm sorry you weren't able to finish it, but snaps for Yutong calling us from China, a high school student, obviously with a great future as an English language poet ahead of her. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be wrapping up. I'm going to ask Anna for a final thought, Anna and Sylvie. And then Erica, we're going to play a video from Erica. And I'm going to invite Zach to apparate so that we can see him and he can say hi, and the same with Chris. And then a few thank yous and we'll be done. Anna, if I had $1 for every time people, there's Zach, for every time people mention how delightful it is to see you work with Sylvie, to see you do ModPo with Sylvie, even though Sylvie may be a little fussy at the moment, I'd be able to plow that money back and make an endowment for ModPo. Anyway, Anna, you are our coordinator. You have done this with one hand tied behind your back or one hand holding something else. So thank you in advance for that. Do you feel you can do a final word, or should I play Erica first?
Sylvie has elected today to be at her most anti-Zoom. So I will try to get through a final word as much as I can. She's just not into it right now.
Right.
All I will say is that this whole year, I mean, last ModPo into this, I mean, my year is not like January to January. My year is like September to September. I'm like, I have 100% in my whole life just oriented myself to an academic year as like my orientation of time and space. But I remain, as ever, just so grateful for this community of people, of poetry learners, of poetry lovers, of people who want to be here to study poems every year, come, hell or high water. And that's everyone from people who were, looking around for things to do when shutdowns started coming in place and thought, okay, I'll learn about some poems. So glad to have you here. Always just such a delight to find people who are stumbling onto this community and are like, what did I find? Like, what is this? Also want to say thank you again, as always, to all of the just extraordinary community TAs, volunteer core of people who just make this thing hum, make sure that everyone is heard, make sure that questions are answered, make sure that tech things go to the right place. I really am just like in awe of this wonderful, wonderful group of volunteer mentors and community TAs. You're just such an extraordinary group, and we really, truly could not do this without you. All of my TA pals who just have come back year and year again. It really is like such a special thing to have this reason to convene with people who we've known for and have been here to talk about these poems with for so long. And it's such a gift to get to continue to share this with you year after year. I want to give special recognition to Lily. I know we've done this before, but like Lily, you've just in absolutely countless ways that you like realize and like maybe don't, have just supported me so much, so many ways. In my teaching, in just like administrative stuff, like being a new parent in a pandemic after like a pretty traumatic pregnancy and dealing with like pregnancy loss, like before Sylvie got here, my 2020 has been a ride and you have just been such a constant source of like support and help. And like, I really don't think I would be able to do anything that I do without you, honestly. And that really goes for like this entire group. Like, I really don't think that I would be the teacher that I am without all of the ways that every single one of you has stepped up to be supportive and to be just like a constant source of like, let's just talk about poems. Let's like put ourselves into the poems. And if yourself is in the poem, then you're doing the work. You know, if you forget what a metrical foot is, who cares? If you forget what a sonnet is, who cares? Like, you're putting yourself into a poem. And that's like a place where we can meet. If we can't meet in person, we can meet in a poem. And Al, lastly, I'll say, I could not have asked for a better collaborator and mentor and, you know, poetry czar than what you have been for me throughout my life, and especially in this space. I was pretty scared of like what this was going to be like, and for a whole bunch of different reasons. So thank you for just being the collaborator and mentor that you've been through all these years, and especially this year. Thank you so much for being quiet for
Sylvie's
most.
got some great. Sylvie's got
Shut
some final
up, Mom.
words.
You've been going on too long. So I'm going to mute myself again now.
Thank you, Anna.
You got
That's
it.
lovely. Chris and Zach and Anna and I form the coordinating team, and we have an annual spitball session in early December. Usually it's in person over pizza. I think we have a plan semi-legally to meet up in the garden of the Writer's House with lots of layers, and with beer and pizza. We'll come up with some new ideas. And one of the ideas that Anna and I've been working on, and we'll be announcing soon, is the ModPo book, which is a collection of 50 essays by 50 poets on 50 poems. Most of the poems are ModPo poems. And we will tell everybody how you can get a copy of that book when it's out, and we're very excited about it. Thank you, Anna. I'm going to play a video that Erica made, and then I'm going to thank a few people, including Chris and Zach, and we will sign off. So hang on with us just a little longer. Here is Erica.
Hi, ModPo friends. I wish I could be there with you for today's webcast, but instead, I'm going to just call in with some final words. To begin, I'd like to thank Alana Shaw, Terry Reif, John Biddle, MC, Meredith Lederer, Laura DiBernardi, Sylvia, Margaret, Denny, Elaine Epler, Mandana, Terry Talty, and Ronald Keeperman, and everyone involved in the Global Study Group. You all have been fantastic to have an ongoing conversation with in my office hours and in the discussion forums, and I look forward to seeing you in the threads every year. I also wanted to give a shout out to Chris Martin and Zach Cardiner. Your job this year must have been incredibly complicated when it usually is incredibly complicated anyway. So I wanted to recognize your incredible work. I also wanted to acknowledge Al and the rest of my colleagues who work on the course for creating a Zoom experience unlike any other. I feel as though ModPo's uniqueness is something I've been thinking a lot about lately, as we've spent much of the spring, summer, and fall doing everything on Zoom. So thank you for that. And finally, I would like to end my final words by reading one section from a poem called Happiness by the writer Sean Bonney. And this is a poem that is new to ModPo Plus, and it's in week 5, chapter 3. So again, this is Sean Bonney. September 2003. We were wondering why the poets were silent. We, children's books, whiskey, record shops, bombed orchards, paracetamol, refugees, circuit boards, the sun, god of fire. There we have a series of verbs. They pass to and fro as if no one had seen them. They go in and out of random houses, signal towers, border towns. The course of study is that simple. The legality and opacity of poets, the noises scratched into them, real constellations, beggars, economy, detonation. December 2009, a review of the year, a hell for the hands, for the hair, for the mouth, for the law, an entire symphony 360 degrees, supernatural sobriety of discontinued nouns, the reservoir at dawn, direction multiplied by velocity, glimpses of improbable harmony. I'd encourage everyone to really dig into ModPo Plus during the Slowpo season. There's a lot of incredible stuff that's new there, and I'll miss all of you, and I'll see you next fall.
That's Erica Kaufman. Oh, what a great partner Erica is. Working at the Institute at Bard, where she is innovating teaching and really volunteering to hang out with us, which she would say is a great way to learn for her program. But wow. Chris, Zach, Erica appropriately mentioned you guys. Chris, on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being easy peasy. No, let's see. 10 being this is the hardest thing I've ever done. 1 being easy peasy. What's this been like?
That's a really good question. Yeah, at first it was really challenging trying to figure out all the moving parts, but now that we have it kind of underway, I think we got this down to a system a little bit. I think, at least for me. So, but on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of fun, it's been a great time.
That's such a
that's
Chris
not a number, I guess.
move. That was such a
It's
Chris
been a
Martin
10.
move.
It's been a 10 in fun, yeah. I'm just so excited. I just want to say I'm so excited that we've still been able to do these webcasts. I'm so excited we have the technology that we can still field phone calls.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun as a tech person to kind of work on ModPo and to get the opportunity to be a part of this community. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm probably the only tech person maybe in the world today who got to talk to somebody in Siberia, North Wales, and China.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to put some money on that, but we'll see. But I just wanted to say thanks to all of you, and thanks for working with us on this tech fun and making it all happen. It's a lot of fun.
Chris, I don't think anybody's, Lily or Anna, nobody's going to be able to take away ever again the function of answering the phone. You seem really, sometimes I can't get your attention because you're gabbing away, you know.
I know. It's been a lot of fun. I don't think I'm ready to give it up anytime soon.
All right, good. Fantastic. Thank you. Zach Gardner, you've been invisible the whole time, but you're not invisible to us.
All right, I hope this sounds all right. I have no idea how I sound. I hope it's not too loud or too quiet. Yeah, I've been here, and I just wanted to, I guess, echo what Max said earlier, which is that, like, this year, especially the energy has been super just great in the discussions, in the YouTube, and it's just been a really nice contrast to a lot of bad energy elsewhere in the world, and I just really appreciate that. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, Zach and Chris, making it all possible. You guys are the best. Yeah, seriously. Okay, thank you. There are 52,000 people enrolled in ModPo. That's crazy. We haven't had that number since 2012. I think it actually exceeds the number from 2012, of which some 33,000 have been active, which is just extraordinary. There are a lot of Coursera MOOCs that you have to pay to be part of, and they're usually much smaller groups so that they can handle the tests and quizzes and interactions. Our approach is completely different. People enroll and they roll over in an open session. So we encourage everybody to stay. I just want to echo thanks to the CTAs, the community TAs, who are all volunteers. There are many of them. They make this thing work. Believe me, the peer reviewing would not work without the CTAs. It's not possible for the TAs to come back every year, given their busy lives, to be able to do any of that. And the CTAs make the whole structure possible. We're really grateful to them. I want to make sure that I plug the Teacher Resource Center, TRC, for those of you who are teaching currently or are thinking about becoming teachers, go there for sure. Also, a shout out to Sanjeev, who, while Sanjeev is not as active in the ModPo site as sometimes he would wish, he has followed us from the UK to India to the Boston area. And he is the one who really makes the Facebook group, which has more than 10,000 people, hum along. Thank you to Juliet, Neil Little, Ton. Quote, almost more joyful despite everything this year, says Ton. Isabella, Maura, Danny and Tara, and Yutong from China for calling in, and John Sanchez for making that amazing song. We are going to go out. We're going to go out hearing the sounds of the end of John Sanchez's song. We wish you well.
Unfettered, these sentences repress free speech. So let me recite what history can teach. The river is moving, so the blackbird's in flight. Which way does your beard point tonight?
say goodbye to ModPo. 10 weeks of fun, and now it's done. Come back next year for another run. The difference is spreading. This.
Thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Love all you guys. Be well, take care, be safe, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you guys. Click that leave button.